All right, ready to dive deep into the power of story in business.
Let's do it.
We're going to be using Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller as our guide today.
A great choice.
I think it's going to help us all learn how to really make our brand stand out. Cut through all that noise.
Yeah, because there's a lot of it out there.
For sure. And ultimately, we want to use that to grow our businesses, right?
Absolutely.
So Miller really digs deep into this idea. I mean, he connects story to something really basic.
Our human need to understand the world.
Makes sense. Let me put it that way.
It's like we're hardwired for it.
Okay, so I'm hearing it's more than just, tossing in a couple feel-good stories into your marketing here and there.
Way more. It's about recognizing that we are bombarded with information constantly.
Sure.
Miller actually calls it noise.
Noise.
It's this relentless onslaught of marketing messages that our brains are constantly trying to sift through.
So, our brains are on a treadmill just trying to keep up with all of it.
Yeah. You're burning calories just to process it all.
That's exhausting. No wonder we tune out so easily.
Exactly. Our brains are wired for survival, so when they are faced with information overload, they go into this energy-saving mode.
Makes sense.
And that is where Miller's first big takeaway comes in.
Okay, what is it?
Businesses fail because they don't get this basic human need to conserve mental energy.
So they are making it too hard for the brain to work with them.
Yeah, so how does story help us cut through all that noise?
Yeah, so, I'm guessing because story is how we've always learned and remembered things.
Right.
It's how we make sense of, the world around us.
Exactly. So when a business uses story, well, they are essentially giving our brains a break.
Like a mental vacation.
Yeah. They're offering a clear path through all the chaos.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
So mistake number one is failing to speak to those survival instincts.
To make it easy on the brain.
Yeah. And then mistake number two would be that information overload we were just talking about.
Yes. Clarity is key. The more a customer has to work to understand your message, the less likely they are to engage.
It's like trying to solve a puzzle where half the pieces are missing.
You just give up.
Exactly.
Nobody wants to do that.
So how do we put the pieces together? How do we create a story that really resonates?
Well, this is where Miller's StoryBrand framework, or SB7, comes in.
Okay, what is that?
He lays out these 7 universal story points that are wired into our brains.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What are they?
A character.
Okay.
A problem.
Makes sense.
A guide.
Okay.
A plan.
Right.
A call to action.
Got it.
Failure.
Wait, failure.
And ultimately, success.
Failure seems a little counterintuitive for marketing, doesn't it?
It might, but we'll get to that. But first, think about how these elements play out in something like Star Wars.
Okay.
Luke Skywalker. He's our character.
Right.
He's facing the problem of defeating the evil empire.
Right.
He has guides like Obi-Wan Kenobi and Yoda
Ah, yes. The mentors.
to give him a plan to help him develop his Jedi powers.
Okay.
Each step he takes brings him closer to either failure or success, culminating in that epic showdown with Darth Vader.
Makes sense in a galaxy far, far away, but how do we apply this to, say, selling accounting software?
It's all about identifying your customer as the hero of their own story.
Ah, okay.
What do they want?
What problem are they facing?
And how can your brand act as the guide to help them achieve that desired outcome?
So we're not the hero.
No,
We're more like Yoda.
exactly. You are the wise mentor. You're the experienced guide who has the knowledge and the plan to help the hero overcome their challenges and emerge victorious.
Okay. So like a brand like National Car Rental.
Yeah. What about it?
They understood their customers' frustration
Mhm.
with the long lines and, having to make small talk after a long flight.
Right. Nobody wants to do that.
So they tapped into that pain point and positioned themselves as the guide who gets you to your car quickly and quietly.
That small detail, that makes a big difference.
I like it. So this leads us to the plan element of the SB7. What are we talking about here?
So Miller talks about 2 types of plans. You have the process plan,
Okay.
which outlines the steps involved in doing business with you.
Makes sense.
And then you have that agreement plan,
Okay.
which builds trust by addressing customer concerns and clarifying those shared values.
So is CarMax a good example of the agreement plan? Because they have that no-haggle pricing, they take away the stress and uncertainty of negotiating a used car price.
Exactly. They're making a clear agreement with the customer.
We believe in transparency and fairness.
We're committed to making your car buying experience as smooth and hassle-free as possible.
Love it. All right, so we've got the character, the problem, the guide, the plan, and then comes the call to action. What does Miller say about that?
Well, he actually uses his own dating life as an example here.
Right.
He used to hesitate to be direct with women that he was interested in.
So like beating around the bush instead of just asking them out?
Right. And it wasn't until he started issuing clear calls to action and setting specific dates and times to connect that he actually found success.
Okay, so no more playing hard to get in the business world.
Exactly. Be upfront.
Got it.
Businesses need to be clear and direct with their customers, repeatedly inviting them to take action. Think about big, bold buy now buttons on your website,
Got it.
or like clear instructions on how to schedule a consultation. Don't make them guess what you want them to do.
Don't make them work too hard. Now, what about that failure element we talked about earlier? How does that fit in?
So this is where you highlight the consequences of not choosing your brand.
Ah, okay.
What are the potential negative outcomes that the customer might face if they don't take action?
So you're showing them what they are missing out on.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense.
And then, of course, we have the success element.
Right, the happily ever after.
This is where you paint a clear picture of what life looks like after the customer has embraced your brand.
Okay,
What are the positive transformations?
what goals will they achieve?
It's about selling a transformation, not just a product.
So it's like JFK's famous line, we're going to put a man on the moon.
Yeah.
He didn't just talk about, building a space program. He painted a vivid picture of success that captured the nation's imagination.
It's inspiring.
And Miller also talks about this idea of aspirational identity, right?
Yes. It's powerful.
Can you explain that a little bit more?
He uses Gruber knives as a great example.
Okay.
They aren't just selling knives.
No.
They're selling the identity of a tough, adventurous, capable individual.
I see. They're selling a feeling.
People are willing to pay a premium for products that align with their desired identity.
They want to feel like they're part of something bigger than themselves.
Exactly.
So we're not just selling a product, we're selling a story.
And that story can be so powerful in attracting customers
Building loyalty.
and ultimately growing a business.
That's the beauty of the StoryBrand framework.
It's a clear roadmap for creating a compelling narrative.
It resonates with customers and inspires them to take action.
It does.
Miller offers all of these really inspiring examples of brands that have totally nailed their story.
Right.
But how can we take those ideas and translate them into, tangible results for our own businesses?
He actually spends a good chunk of the book talking about websites.
Ah, okay.
He says to think of it as your digital storefront.
Makes sense.
It's that first impression that so many customers will have of your brand.
For sure, because your website is often the very first point of contact for potential customers.
Yeah, so it needs to draw them in.
I like it. So we need to use the website to tell a story that really resonates and compels them to take action.
Precisely. He lays out these 3 key elements that every website should have.
Okay, I'm all ears. Tell me more. What's the first element?
You need to clearly articulate what your customer wants.
Oh,
This seems really obvious.
it does.
But so many businesses get caught up in their own stories that they forget to connect with the customer's desires.
True.
He shares this great example of a meal kit delivery service. Their website focused heavily on the founder's passion for cooking.
Ah, okay.
It was beautifully designed, but it just missed the mark in terms of connecting with the customer's needs.
It's like those movies that are all style and no substance, right?
Yes.
Like you might admire the visuals.
The cinematography.
Yeah, but you walk away feeling empty.
Exactly.
What was the point of all that?
He says it wasn't until his wife actually explored the website and discovered this one feature that really made it click for her.
Okay, what was it?
They had this thing where you could remove color from liquor.
What?
Yeah, so it made her cocktails crystal clear and her sage garnish stood out.
That's so specific.
But that's when the value proposition clicked.
So the website was missing that aha moment.
Right.
It wasn't connecting the service to a specific desire or outcome that the customer wanted.
It's amazing how just one small detail can make all the difference.
It can.
All they needed was like one clear sentence above the fold.
Okay, like what?
Something like, we'll make you a cocktail superstar.
Uh-huh. Okay.
They just needed to articulate that customer's desire more clearly.
Clarity is king. So simple, but so important. What's the second essential element?
Obvious calls to action.
This goes back to Miller's dating analogy.
Right.
Beating around the bush doesn't work in romance or in business.
No, it doesn't.
You got to be bold, be direct.
Yeah.
So we're talking like big flashing buy now buttons.
Don't be shy about inviting customers to take action. Repeat that call to action throughout your website.
Okay,
Make it ridiculously obvious what you want them to do.
got it.
And don't forget those transitional calls to action.
What are those again?
It's like the soft asks that nurture the relationship and guide customers further down the funnel.
So like offering a free guide in exchange for an email address.
Exactly, like 10 secrets to training your puppy. It's valuable to the customer, it positions you as a helpful expert, and it helps you build your email list.
Speaking of email marketing, where does that fit into the story?
Miller says that email is most effective when it's used to continue that storytelling journey that started on your website.
Okay,
It's about nurturing those relationships,
makes sense.
offering valuable content that keeps customers engaged.
So a well-crafted email sequence could kind of feel like chapters in a captivating story.
That's a great way to put it.
You're building anticipation, revealing new insights,
Right.
and ultimately guiding them towards that satisfying conclusion.
It's like a choose-your-own-adventure book.
Uh-huh, I love it. What are some tips for writing effective email content?
He suggests keeping emails short and to the point, focusing on those 3 key elements: the problem, the solution, and the outcome.
So start by acknowledging the problem the customer is facing.
Then present your product or service as the solution.
And finally, paint that picture of what life looks like after they've embraced your brand.
Yes, exactly. And always include a clear call to action.
Got it.
Whether it's inviting them to visit your website, download a resource, or make a purchase, tell them exactly what you want them to do.
Don't leave them guessing. So is that what that dog boarding company did?
Yeah, so after providing those tips on calming anxious dogs, they subtly transitioned into highlighting their own services.
Ah, very clever.
They emphasized how their facility provides this stress-free environment for, furry companions.
It's all about weaving your brand into the narrative.
Positioning yourself as the guide.
The one who understands and can solve the customer's problem.
Right.
Email marketing done right can be so powerful.
Yeah, it can be a powerful tool for building relationships and driving
What?
sales.
But it's not just about external communication.
What else is there?
Miller also talks about using story to transform internal company culture.
Oh, yeah, that's fascinating.
How does story even play a role in employee engagement?
He argues that a clear and compelling brand story can create a sense of purpose and unity within an organization.
I can see that.
When employees understand the bigger narrative, they're more likely to be engaged and motivated.
It's like everyone's working together to write the next chapter.
Right. In the company's success story.
It's about feeling like you're part of something bigger, something meaningful.
He uses this great scenario.
What is it?
He says, imagine Lewis and Clark setting out to tame the Western frontier.
Okay.
That hiring manager is describing the company's journey, its challenges and triumphs, in a way that makes that potential employee feel like they're being recruited for a grand adventure.
That is so much more exciting than just listing out, job responsibilities and benefits.
Oh, for sure.
It's inviting them to become part of something bigger.
To contribute to a shared mission.
And that sense of purpose can be really powerful in attracting and retaining top talent. Okay, so we've covered websites, email marketing, and internal culture. What other, almost free marketing tactics does Miller recommend?
He talks about creating a one-liner
Okay.
that captures the essence of your brand story.
So like a movie tagline.
Yeah.
That instantly grabs your attention and makes you want to know more.
Exactly.
Like, in space, no one can hear you scream for alien.
Yes.
Or just when you thought it was safe to go back in the water.
Oh, I love it.
Jaws.
So good.
Those taglines instantly give you a feeling, a sense of what the movie is about.
He provides some examples from some famous movies.
Oh, like what?
Like a science fiction fantasy about a naive but ambitious farm boy from a backwater desert who discovers powers he never knew he had when he teams up with a feisty princess, a mercenary space pilot, and an old wizard warrior to lead a ragtag rebellion against the sinister forces of the evil galactic empire.
Wait a minute, is that Star Wars?
It is.
Oh, wow.
And as cheesy as that might sound, that one sentence sums up the entire story,
It does.
sparking our imagination and making us want to learn more.
Okay, so how do we create a one-liner for a business that's just as captivating?
He suggests focusing on those 4 elements: the character, the problem, the plan, and the success.
Got it.
So like a gym owner might say, we help busy professionals who are struggling to find time for fitness, achieve their weight loss goals, and feel their best in just 30 minutes a day.
It's concise.
Yeah, it's targeted.
It paints a clear picture of transformation.
Hits all those key points of the StoryBrand framework in just one sentence.
Love it. So you could use this one-liner everywhere. On your website, on your social media, your elevator pitch.
Absolutely.
It's about distilling your story down to its essence.
Making it memorable.
I feel like Miller is really stressing this importance of repetition.
Oh, yeah, he does.
You know, like saying repetition is the mother of learning.
Exactly. He compares it to being a musician.
Okay, I like that.
Like James Taylor playing Fire and Rain, night after night, decade after decade.
Yeah.
He can't just phone it in. Right. He has to bring that same passion and energy to every performance.
So consistency and clarity are key.
We got to become the James Taylor of our industry.
Play our brand's hit song over and over again.
Exactly.
And then the final, almost free marketing tactic Miller talks about is creating a system that generates referrals.
That is huge.
Now, that is something that I'm always super interested in.
Why?
Because referrals are like gold for any business.
It's the ultimate trust factor.
But how do you even create a referral system without being like pushy and salesy?
He stresses the importance of making it easy and rewarding for customers to spread the word.
Okay, so like offer incentives.
Like discounts.
Bonus products.
Even commissions for successful referrals.
So like that meal kit service that gives customers free meals to share with their friends.
Exactly. It incentivizes them to spread the word and allows their friends to try it.
Exactly. It's a win-win for everyone involved.
It is. And the beauty is you can easily automate this using, email marketing platforms.
Oh, right. Okay.
You can set up a system where happy customers will automatically receive referral links or codes to share with their networks.
So you're creating a system where your customers are becoming your most effective salespeople.
Exactly. And it all goes back to the power of story. When you create a brand story that truly resonates with customers, they'll become your biggest advocates, eager to share their experience with others.
So we covered a lot of ground here.
Oh, you did.
Websites, emails, internal culture, referral programs.
Yeah.
Miller provides a roadmap for using story to transform every aspect of a business.
It really is remarkable.
But it all comes back to that fundamental idea.
What's that?
That people are drawn to clarity. And they're repelled by confusion.
Right.
When you use story to communicate your brand message, you make it easy for them to understand how you can help them.
You become the guide they've been searching for.
All right, so before we jump into the final part of this deep dive, where we'll actually explore how to implement some of these strategies, let's take a pause. What's resonating with you the most so far?
What sparked your imagination?
All right, so we've talked about the power of story, but where do we actually begin putting it into action?
Well, Miller gives us this great tool. It's called the StoryBrand brand script.
Brand script.
It's like this one-page blueprint for crafting compelling marketing messages.
Okay, so like a roadmap.
For building your brand story.
I like it.
It guides you through those 7 story points we've been talking about.
Makes sense.
Making sure you are speaking directly to your customers' needs and desires.
All right, so let's walk through this brand script, like step by step. What's the first thing we need to define?
You always start by identifying your customer's problem.
Okay, that sounds straightforward enough.
It seems that way. But Miller really emphasizes how important it is to focus on problems even more than solutions.
Why is that?
He uses this analogy of a story gap.
A story gap?
Yeah, think about those movies that keep you on the edge of your seat. The ones that are constantly introducing new problems and challenges for the hero to overcome.
Yeah.
If we knew exactly how the hero was going to succeed from the very beginning, it wouldn't be very interesting, would it?
If Jason Bourne had all the answers 30 minutes into the movie, it would be a pretty boring watch.
Exactly. And the same principle actually applies to marketing.
How so?
By focusing on your customers' problems, you're creating that same sense of intrigue and urgency that keeps them engaged.
So like, you're making them lean in and say, tell me more. How can you help me?
You got it.
And Miller talks about addressing both external and internal problems.
Right.
What's the difference between the two?
So external problems are like the tangible challenges that customers face in their everyday lives.
Okay.
So let's say you are selling time management software.
Okay.
An external problem might be like a cluttered inbox.
Or a never-ending to-do list.
Exactly. But those external problems, they often lead to like internal frustrations.
So the internal problem might be like a feeling of overwhelm.
Stress or even like inadequacy.
Okay, I see. So by speaking to those internal frustrations, you're connecting with customers on a deeper level.
On a more emotional level.
Yeah. You're not just offering a solution to a practical problem. You're offering a path to a more fulfilling and satisfying life.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've identified the problem. What's next?
Next, you position your brand as the guide.
Okay.
You need to demonstrate that you understand their problems and you have the expertise to help them overcome those challenges.
So it's not just about selling a product, it's about selling that confidence that comes with knowing you're in good hands.
Yeah, Miller uses this example of Infusionsoft, which is a marketing automation platform.
Okay.
Their website very confidently states, "We will help you get organized, save time, and grow your sales."
That's a bold statement.
It is, but they back it up with a proven track record.
And a team of experts.
Exactly.
It's about showcasing your expertise and building trust, not just like bragging about how great you are.
For sure.
So how do we actually embody this guide role in our marketing?
Miller really emphasizes empathy and authority.
Okay.
It's about showing that you care, that you've been there, and you understand those challenges that your customers are facing.
So like, hey, I know how frustrating it can be to feel overwhelmed by technology, but don't worry, we're here to make it easy for you.
Yeah, that's the spirit. And remember that customers are looking for guides who are like them. So highlight those shared values and experiences.
That makes sense.
If you're selling athletic wear, emphasize your own passion for fitness and the transformative power of an active lifestyle.
Make them feel like you're in this together.
Right.
Okay, so we've established the problem. We've positioned ourselves as the guide. What's the next step in this brand script?
It's time to create a plan.
A plan.
A clear path that guides your customer towards their desired outcome.
So these are the stepping stones that help them cross the river.
Exactly. And Miller reminds us that clarity is key.
Makes sense.
Customers want to know exactly what to expect when they do business with you.
No surprises. And he talks about those two types of plans, the process plan and the agreement plan. Can you refresh my memory on those?
Sure. So the process plan outlines those steps involved in engaging with your brand, whether it's making a purchase, using your product, or accessing your services.
Just like a recipe.
Yeah. Step 1, step 2, step 3, and voila, you've created a culinary masterpiece.
I like it. And the agreement plan addresses customer concerns and clarifies those shared values.
Precisely. It's like signing a pact, saying we believe in these values and we are committed to upholding them.
Got it. So think about those brands that emphasize ethical sourcing or sustainable practices.
They're building trust by aligning themselves with their customers' values.
Okay, so we've got the problem, the guide, the plan. What comes next?
It's time to issue a clear call to action.
So make it bold. Make it irresistible.
Miller's advice is so simple.
What is it?
Tell your customers exactly what you want them to do. Don't make them guess.
Don't make them work too hard.
Right. Think about those big, bright buy now buttons.
Okay.
Or clear instructions on how to schedule a consultation.
Got it. And those transitional calls to action are important too, right?
The soft asks.
Yeah, those little nudges that gently push customers further along the journey.
Absolutely. Offering a free download or signing up for a webinar, those small steps can really make a big difference in building that trust and nurturing the relationship.
Okay, so we've covered the problem, the guide, the plan, and the call to action. What about the failure element?
So this is where you highlight the consequences of not choosing your brand.
Okay.
What are the potential negative outcomes that the customer might face if they don't take action?
So you're showing them the cost of inaction.
Exactly.
And making your solution even more appealing.
It's like those weight loss commercials.
Oh yeah, the ones with the before and after photos.
Exactly. They're not just showcasing that positive transformation, they're also reminding you what's at stake.
What could happen if you stay on that same path?
It creates a sense of urgency. It motivates them to take action.
Okay, so we've explored the potential for failure. What about the success element?
This is where you paint a vivid picture of what life looks like after the customer has embraced your brand.
Okay.
What are the positive transformations they can expect? How will their lives be better? What goals will they achieve?
So you're showing them a glimpse of their ideal future.
The life they could be living.
If they choose your brand.
Think glowing testimonials.
Inspiring success stories.
Or even just a simple phrase that captures their desired outcome.
Help them see themselves living their best lives thanks to your brand.
Exactly.
And Miller also talks about Defining the aspirational identity.
Yes.
Can you explain what that means a little bit more?
So this is where you tap into how your customers want to be perceived.
Okay,
It's about associating your brand with a desirable identity,
makes sense.
a set of values and aspirations that resonate with your target audience.
I see.
Think about Nike's Just Do It campaign.
Okay, yeah.
It's not just about selling shoes, it's about embodying this spirit of, athleticism, determination.
Achievement.
Yeah.
It's about making them feel like they are part of something bigger.
Something aspirational.
I love it. So the StoryBrand brand script is a roadmap for crafting a compelling brand narrative that resonates with customers and inspires them to take action.
It's such a powerful tool. It can be applied to every aspect of your marketing.
Your website, your emails,
Yeah.
your social media posts, sales presentations.
You name it. And the best part is it's not rocket science.
No.
With a little bit of effort and a willingness to embrace the power of story, any business can transform their marketing.
Connect with customers on a deeper level.
Exactly.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Donald Miller's Building a Story Brand, what's your biggest takeaway? What's that one nugget of wisdom that's really going to stick with you?
I think for me, it's that story is not just a marketing tactic. It's a fundamental human need.
We crave story.
When you tap into the power of story, you are not just selling a product or a service. You are inviting your customer into a narrative.
That can potentially transform their lives.
It's powerful stuff.
It really is. And I think that's a beautiful note to end on. We hope this deep dive has inspired you to think differently about the power of story in your business. Go out there, embrace your role as a guide, and help your customers write their own success stories.